name is Frida Verdaje, and I am the director of Moku Art Studio. And we have partnered with Mango for this amazing program called Oceans, so that you can see my face. We partnered with Mango in this wonderful program to bring a residency for artists that are interested in the ocean, not only as the idea or concept of the ocean, but also in ocean conservation and education, and inspire others in this wonderful part of our planet, since we're mostly a water planet. We wanted to bring a space that was not only a safe space for artists that have this passion to find a network of like-minded people, but also a space where they could be challenged, where they could have a project in mind or a project that they wanted to discover and be able to challenge them in what they wanted to do and kind of be able to guide that process in something that was meaningful and fulfilling. Mitch.
Bueno, bienvenidos a todos. Este es un espacio, un Open Studio, que es la culminación de un programa de residencia que hicimos con Moku Art Studio, gracias a Frida Verlag. Yo soy Mechi Aliaga, soy directora de programas de Mango Residencia para Artistas en Buenos Aires. Moku está en Los Ángeles. Y a través de este programa buscamos que artistas internacionales de todo el mundo traigan proyectos relacionados con los océanos, ya que el mundo es prácticamente agua. Bueno, a través de estos encuentros hemos trabajado reflexión, hemos entrado en contacto con científicos. De hecho, una de las artistas también es científica. Entonces, ciencia y arte hacen que los proyectos se potencien y todo tenga mucho más sentido y, sí, más potencia sería. Frida.
And so at this point, I would like to introduce our artists. We have 4 wonderful artists that participated in our 5-week Oceans Residency program. We met 5 times virtually, where we shared ideas, we challenged each other, we gave feedback, and we have Una, Kirsten, Dodd, and Van. These 4 wonderful artists have different mediums and different ways of approaching not only life, but the project that came in our program. And I was very happy to not only be able to meet them as people and artists, but also that they shared a lot in common and that they took a lot of inspiration from each other and that they really trusted the process. And they also, I feel like they also trusted a lot of each other and respected each other a lot. And I think they showed in their projects as well in a very sometimes interesting conversations that we had. And, you know, sometimes things that we tried worked and some others didn't. But, you know, they were all very willing to go with the process and being able to have this space be something new and something that could impact their work in a meaningful way.
Bueno, aquí están los 4 artistas que Frida recién presentó. Una, Kirsten, Dodd y Van. Ellos son artistas de diferentes puntos del mundo. Bueno, ya los van a ir conociendo. Pero bueno, lo que Frida de alguna manera resumió fue esto que les venía diciendo. Fueron encuentros semanales donde había diálogo, reflexión, intercambio, relacionado a los océanos y a sus proyectos. Con la idea, obviamente, siempre de traer siempre a conciencia qué es lo que cada uno puede hacer desde su pequeño lugar también, ¿no? No solo a nivel internacional o global o enorme, que a veces uno siente que es inalcanzable, sino justamente desde el compromiso como personas en esta tierra. Bueno, Frida, si quieres continuar.
Without further ado, we'll have the artists introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their work. And first up, we have Kirsten.
Un segundito. Ahora se van a introducir ellos. Yo voy a dejar de hablar en español porque si no se va a hacer muy extenso. Así que brevemente les digo que va a empezar Kirsten. Ella es estadounidense, vive en Alemania, además de artista científica. Después va a seguir Dodd, que Dodd es estadounidense, vive en California, es artista. Después va a seguir Una es de Serbia, vive en Canadá. Y por último Van, que es estadounidense y vive en Estados Unidos. Bueno, esto es todo lo que digo. Si alguien quiere hacer una pregunta en el chat, siempre es bienvenida. Si es en español, la responderemos también en español. Y cualquier cosita que quieras agregar, Frida, en este momento en español, y si no, ya continuamos.
Sorry.
Continuamos. The floor is yours, Kristen.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Full screen? Okay, great. Hi, everyone. So you know my name. I live just outside the Black Forest in Germany. I'm an American living over here in Europe. And this project that I did as part of the Artist in Residency is part of a bigger project called Fathom Antarctica. So I invite you to check that out on your own after this. But I'm really excited to talk to you about the project I did as part of this Artist in Residency. So it has to do with Antarctica. I went to Antarctica in 2017 in a residency, an artist in residency down there, and I was located where that little red arrow points. And what's interesting to know about that is this is what it looks like above ground. This is actually the frozen ocean, and in the background there's an orange hut. That is a diving hut. I went to Antarctica to dive. That's me. After a dive, I would have to go through a 4-foot hole through 7 feet of ice to access a very different universe than what is above. It looked like this. I'm an artist and a scientist, and I brought some of my scientific tools with me underwater as an artist, essentially a slate. Yes?
Sorry, we're just in the first image. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, the image wasn't moving.
Okay. So are you back to the one with the title?
Yes.
Okay. I will start again, and I apologize for speaking quickly. Should I slow down a little?
No, you're great. The images were not going through.
Yeah, okay, thank you for letting me know. So this is where I was in Antarctica. It's a place called Ross Island. It's an American research station down there. And this is what it looks like above the ocean. I already have revealed that I went below the ocean, but can you see a white frozen landscape? Okay, great. Perfect. So that's basically what it looks like above. And to get to it, I would have to dive through a hole that's me, and it's 4 feet in diameter. And I would go through 7 feet of sea ice to get to this universe. And absolutely 180 from what you find above, full of color, full of life. And because I'm an artist turned a scientist turned artist, excuse me, I brought some of my scientific tools with me, namely a dive slate, which I turned into a drawing slate, and I draw underwater. These little tiny thumbnails are the 26 sketches I did underwater during my visit in 2017. And this is an example of one up close. I started doing this drawing underwater a while ago in 2006 in much warmer water. I'm not silly. Antarctica was a more recent quest of mine, but I started in Fiji, and so I've been drawing underwater for quite a long time. There's 5 essential tools for me. It's waterproof paper, graphite, which is a woodless pencil, the slate that I told you about already, a light, and a camera. This is an example of an early piece of work. You can see it's pretty primitive, but out of that, I actually do artwork. This is a color study of a sketch, and this is what the final art looks like. So for this project, this is an example of a sketch on the left, and on the right is a finished little logo I did for the Antarctic group down under, and I do a lot of final art. It wasn't until fairly recently with the Adequate Earth exhibit several years ago that I was considering my sketches as art itself. So I did a first series of underwater illuminations called Undersea Illuminations. It's called Series 1 now. And I wanted to share with you that the second series is a little bit different than the first series. The second series I did with watercolors in my studio. The first series I did electronically using Procreate. So there's my paint palette. I want to thank Una for telling me about a lovely paint company, lots of brushes. And that brings me to the close of what I wanted to share with you. I just want you to know that when you look at my exhibit today, that it has a long history. And the best thing about this artist in residency has been the community of fellow artists. So thank you to Frida, Mercedes, Una, Van, and Dodd, because that has been a life-changing experience to feeling part of an ocean community. Sometimes I feel very alone when I'm underwater. That's it. Let me stop sharing.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Just as a reminder for our audience, if you have any questions for our artists or things that you want to know more a little bit about, pop them in the chat. That's what the feature is for. We want you guys to feel as part of this, and we want this to be very collaborative. So just a little reminder on that. And next up, we have Dot Holtapple.
Es un recordatorio para que si quieren hacer una pregunta, usen el chat. Gracias.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming, and thank all of the other fellow artists for the inspirations that you gave me during this residency. I am a contemporary visual artist. I work internationally. Was very inspired by this project with the ocean theme because I produce a series of work in the Reflections series, which examines ocean conditions, scientific graphs, and inspirations that I turn into visual constructions in my work. And I enjoyed this journey over 5 weeks and managed to create 3 works, which you'll see in the video presentation.
Which I will present.
My artwork engages ocean conditions through contemporary fine art. Constructed surfaces are embedded with environmental and climate awareness themes. Color and technique, applied in layers, build vibration and surface depth. Openly inspired by the residency artists, I focus to capture specific nuances of their practice. Sentences and words, patterns and shapes, research and studies flow through my process. The resulting works represent an ocean of shimmering concern, a ghostly sea with a surface churning amidst shadowy currents.
So you can notice in my work that I have a foundation of environmentalism. As we spoke during the residency period, I was an avid fisherman. I've spent a lot of time on the ocean. And my thoughts about the ocean have completely shifted from when I was younger to a very protective stance. I think residencies like this are fantastic in being able to spread the message that this is a resource that requires a great deal of attention. So thank you for everybody for joining this open studio.
Thank you, Don, for participating with us. Next up, we have Una.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to share my screen also and just give you a little bit of background about me. My name is Una Janicevic. I'm a Toronto-based Serbian-Canadian artist, designer, and mother. My work is informed by principles of inclusivity, sustainability, and collaboration. My art practice centers around hand-cut collage and really explores the layered and fragmented relationships between land and generations of human inhabitants. And it reflects upon my lived experience as a first-generation immigrant in Canada. I've recently, sorry, just a sec. This is some of my work. I've recently returned to my art practice after about 15 years spent as a designer and art director, developing multidisciplinary projects in media, education, publishing, and arts. At this stage in my life, I'm a mother to young kids, and so my art practice is very much woven into my the fabric of my life. My studio is my home. Sometimes that means my kitchen table, or the our dining room, or my computer desk. So it allows me to pick up and drop my projects between demands of commercial work and family life. I'm very grateful for this residency because it really allowed me to take a bit of a pause and slow down and make room for conversation and experimentation. And I found my work became really interconnected with my fellow artists. Right here you can see I made some handmade paper infused with microplastics that were diverted from the Pacific that Kirsten collected in Hawaii and mailed to me from Germany. So they came a long way, and I got to experiment with them a little bit. And I was really inspired by her stories of diving in the Antarctic. Dodd's abstract compositions really challenged me to consider color, rhythm, pattern, and how they can strengthen sort of an emotional connection and distill really complex subject matter in sort of more universal ways. And with Van, I really connected to his thought process, delving deeper into questions of ancestry, of storytelling, and all of our interconnected histories. For my final piece, I created a hand-cut collage titled "The Water in Our Bodies, the Bodies in Our Water." And you'll have a chance to see the work at the end of our open studio. But these are some of the process images right here. The piece is made up of 125 contorted hand-cut bodies. Some of them are sort of swimming or clutching each other or suspended alone. And from a distance, the piece is meant to resemble a body of water. Accompanying the collage is a short video that, because you can't see it in person, lets you delve into some of the details. And it's set to a song by an indigenous group of artists called "Lament for a Dying Ocean," which I think might help to form a bit of an emotional connection with the work and my message, which is really to challenge viewers to reflect upon the urgent need for ocean conservation and to inspire hope. And hopefully we can all work toward a sustainable future together. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Una. And next we have Van.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today and just tuning in. I really want to just thank my colleagues and also thank the organizers for this this residency. I've had a blast. So at this point, I think we're going to see my video, and then I'll have a reflection afterwards.
Yes.
Quilting the Ocean by Van G.
Wait, sorry guys, let me try that again.
Quilting the Ocean by Van G. Garrett. The ocean is a blanket of mystery.
Oh no. Don't you love technology? Apologies, Van. Let's try this again because I want to make sure that we get your video with our audience in the best possible manner. And it looks like the audio is cutting off. Is that right, you guys? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Quilting the Ocean by Van G. Garrett. The ocean is a blanket of mystery. Eyes, fins, scales, and more appearing and vanishing, ebbing and flowing in the bed of the sea. The ocean is a patchwork of possibilities, millions of species connecting, forming designs and patterns like a great painting, bubbling with life and energy, shimmering uniquely. The ocean is a collage of colorful tapestry, tightly knitted, bone by bone, shell by shell, leaf by leaf, reflecting animals, plants, and more. The ocean is a canvas with creatures big and small, playful and shy, snorkeling in waves night and day, living artistically in harmony. Thanks for listening.
Should I read it in Spanish, Juan?
Oh, yes, please.
Entonces, Van nos pidió que leyéramos en español este poema que él escribió y dice así: acolchando el océano. El océano es una manta de misterio, ojos, aletas, escamas y más, apareciendo y desapareciendo, fluyendo y bajando, en el lecho del mar. El océano es un misterio de el océano es un mosaico de posibilidades, millones de especies conectadas, formando diseños y patrones, deslumbrantes y relucientes de formas únicas, un collage, pintura, tapiz, de punto apretado, hueso por hueso, hoja por hoja, reflejando animales y plantas, viviendo en armonía. Gracias por escuchar.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mercedes. Thank you. That really sounded great. Yeah, so I hope that you enjoyed the video presentation. I wanted to find ways to make the ocean more tangible, especially for younger readers. And so this is an ode that I illustrated as well as that I wrote. But when you see the open studios, then you'll be able to see the original art that comprised the video. So again, thank you for joining, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, at this point, the part of our panel discussion with our artists will begin because we want to pose a question to our artists. If you, as part of our viewers and our audience, have a question for them, just another reminder, feel free to use the chat. That's what this is for. We want you guys to also be a part of this process. And the question that we have for our artists is the following. How did your view of the oceans change after your time during this residency?
Entonces, a partir de aquí vamos a abrir el panel de debate entre los artistas. El chat está a disposición para que escriban las preguntas que quieran. Y bueno, la primera pregunta que hace Frida, ¿la querés decir en español? Con esta pregunta se abre el debate, perdón.
Sí, la pregunta es, ¿cómo cambió tu manera de ver a los océanos o tu relación con los océanos después de estar o de participar en esta residencia? And we'll pose the first question for Kristen, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, I think that I'm circling back to what I said in my intro, which is the community is what's changed for me dramatically. Sometimes in my quest to help share what inspires me about the ocean, I'm so focused on my work that I forget there's so many other people out there that are really wanting to do the same thing as me. So I feel like I've found a wonderful group of people, and I know everyone listening and beyond, there's many people, but it was the activity of meeting weekly and having a project and carrying it through to fruition, and also just getting input along the way from everyone else that improved the entire experience versus what would have been a very solo journey. So that's what's changed, is that we're all in this together. Although I've had that philosophy for a long time, that the ocean is really important, and I want to help us save ourselves from, I want to help us thrive with the ocean thriving. So, and this is the group. That's it. not big.
Todd or Van or Una?
I'll jump in. I mean, just to to echo Kirsten's sentiment. It's a sense of community. I've learned so much from my colleagues, who now I can call friends. I just learned so much about art practices and seeing the world in newfound ways, and obviously learning about the ocean, and so it's really caused me to want to do more research and find ways that I can continue to protect an environment that I did not know as much about before joining the residency. So it's been a blast. So yes, I've learned a lot.
Yeah, go for it, Don.
Thank you. By the way, Van, your spoken word was dynamite. I loved it.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, you're welcome. So for me, it's amazing because I feel like I'm connected to you guys already before this even happened. I use research in my work. So Kirsten, watching you, do research, watching you underwater, like the real-time things, which I envision in my head. I read data charts and graphs and all kinds of technical data about pollution and climate change. So I felt that that resonated with me. Una, your patterning, I use patterning in my work. So your movement and patterning and shapes, it's all items that I am very conscious of and very accepting to push around and absorb. And Van, I wish I would have heard your spoken word, or maybe I'll do it again. Maybe I'll move the ink across the canvas while I'm listening to your words, because that was actually the catalyst, which we talked about, was the ink application in my work. That shadowy current part of the wave is like a sentence, is like like a written sentence moving across. So yeah, you guys greatly affected how I see myself and how I see my work in the Reflections series. Thank you.
Una, do you want to add something?
I mean, I think, we all are sort of sharing a similar experience, and that is, or maybe for me, it was that I forget, I create in isolation in many ways, especially working from home, and at this sort of stage in my life, and you forget that there's a whole network of people that have their lights are on at their home in the night, and they're also working away on something, and all those things are so very connected. And when we're able to reach out to each other, there's just so much strength in that and power in that movement and in that connection. So I love walking away from that, as well as walking away with these relationships that we can continue after today.
What is something that inspired you guys, or maybe that you got curious about? Since we had this, our 5 meetings, and you guys started getting to know each other a little bit better, what is something that you kind of kept at the back of your mind, that you had maybe questions for each other, or things that surprised you about each other?
I'd never heard of drawing underwater. That blew my mind. It's like, that's possible. I'm going to try it.
Yeah, Una, I never thought of like the ocean other than a body of water. So I love the idea that the word that you played on the word body and shifting it around. I think that's super creative.
And I'll pipe in. For me, visuals have always been my strength. Words, not so much. I just, it doesn't, my mind does not flow linearly like sentences do. And Van, to hear your poem tonight, it's just, you really nailed it. I mean, those are words that I love hearing all together. They match what I see. So very nice.
No, that means a lot. Yeah, from all of you, I learned. I mean, I've learned so much from Dodd, learning about textures and just the language of art. Una, like, I don't know if my fingers could even cut those small detailed pieces. Kirsten, I mean, just from you again, I didn't know people know how to draw underwater. Like, I didn't even knew that. I never knew that was a thing. So, just so many nuances, right? So many nuances, but it's really affected and shaped my practice in so many different ways. So thank you.
Kirsten, did you have something?
I do. I want to circle back. I had a question specifically for Dodd that I didn't ask at the time, the planned time. It might actually be a question for anyone who feels inspired, any of us who feel inspired to answer it. And that is, I am landlocked. Well, I'm actually near the ocean at this very moment, but I'm landlocked in Germany. It's the Midwest of Europe. It's lovely. I love it. But there's the closest body of water is Lake Constance. And that's a long way away, actually. So Dodd, when is because you are working with the oceans and currents and thinking about the science behind when you see the ocean, I want to live vicariously through you. And I'd love anyone who's been near the ocean lately to relate to me, us, actually, not just me. What you saw, what you heard, maybe just all the senses, the last time you actually experienced the ocean, what was it like? And was there, it doesn't have to be the last time, but the last time maybe you had an inspired moment with the sea, and what did you see in the sea?
Thank you. Well, you are surrounded by a sea of beer in Germany, so I will. A pretty profound moment is I fish a lot in Okinawa, and I was really surprised at how much the tide changes there. So we left early in the morning. You probably know a little bit more about it. So we left very early in the morning in a skiff, two of us with a driver, and we cruised across a body of water, this big open lagoon. You know, it's all lagoons and islands and all kinds of stuff. And we went and fished in a couple different areas, and it was stunningly beautiful. The array of fish and the life is incredible. The colors of the fish, I mean, just incredible. And then when we were done, we were coming back, and there was no more bay of water. There was a channel carved through the coral. The tide had dropped, I would say, more than 20 feet. And there were clammers out, people getting clams and mussels on the area, which was a complete body of water where we came across before. So it was interesting to see the level of tide shift that at that extreme. I mean, I've seen the tide go, out and come back in, but not on a scale like that. It was really awesome, because when we came back, it was like a highway, like a channel of water cut through coral. And it was kind of profound. I was lost a little bit when we were coming back. I'm like, wait, we didn't come this way before. And I was like, oh, it was the tide. Yeah, it was interesting. But those correlations, again, with the linear movements that move through my work is tidal change, sea rise, a water temperature rise, all of those things. Luckily for me, or maybe it'd be difficult for other people, is I'm super visual. So like, even when I'm listening to Van's words, it's I can hear the words, but it's very visual. It creates visual adaptations in my head. And so the whole time I'm on the ocean, I have very heavy visual representations with color and movement and flow and things that are happening and stuff you see floating on the water, which is something that we talked about. Hopefully everybody here will stop buying Mylar balloons, because Mylar balloons are in the ocean all of the time. And you guys know, Kirsten, you would know, they're highly reflective. It looks like food. So, I mean, turtles and things like that, it looks like something that they can eat. But I'm often surprised at how many Mylar balloons I've seen floating in the ocean.
That kind of makes me think about like the little particles, the microplastics that Kirsten sent to you, Una. How was it like working or touching, or how was that experience of knowing where those pieces came from and then getting them in your mail? I wondered, like, how was that like?
I was really curious for them to come because I was trying to figure out how micro are microplastics, and they were actually of all different sizes and all different colors, and some were more like little bits of plastic string, and others were like sharp shards. So it was really, really interesting to work with them. And I still, it's percolating in my brain to figure out how exactly to embed them in paper in a way that gets you can appreciate their tactile nature. Yeah, I really enjoyed experimenting with them. I had an ocean memory to share as well, if I can. One of the most memorable moments for me was we were sailing in the Greek islands near Kefalonia, and we had stopped somewhere in the evening, and we went for a night swim. And it was very dark. Obviously, it was just us in this little lagoon. The water was dark, the sky was dark, and then all of a sudden around us, bioluminescent plankton. I'm sorry, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, but it was just something I'd never experienced. And they were twinkling and sort of moving around our bodies. And then we looked up and the stars were kind of doing the same thing. And just the connection of these two mirrored surfaces, and then us being these tiny dots within, it was just mind blowing to experience. And I hope everyone gets to do that at least once.
As Dodd, I'm very visual as well. I can really see this picture. I mean, it's beautiful, and it's amazing watching it.
Yeah, we got very lucky.
Van, that kind of makes me think of the way you approached your project too, like just being very playful in your practice. And can you talk a little bit about that, since your background is mostly a writer, although also artist, and that kind of how that worked for you?
Yeah, so I live in Houston, and the Gulf of Mexico, Galveston is the closest beach that we have. And so I wanted to create a scene, or create an ode for young people who might not have access to go into Galveston, or who might not have had the opportunity to visit a beach. Originally, my project was to think about ancestry and to think about the triangular slave trade and tying in those elements. But I did go the more playful route because I just wanted young people to be able to have fun while learning about the ocean. And so this is a much larger project down the road, where in the appendix you'll see different types of animals, and there'll be the descriptions and all that. But I just feel like it could be a nursery rhyme or a lullaby type of thing, a bedtime story. And I just want to have fun with it. Like I said, going into the residency, this is so different from what I normally do, my everyday life, so to speak. So I just wanted to have fun, and my colleagues, my peers, my friends y'all are largely responsible for that. You gave me the room to stretch out. You gave me the opportunity to play and just have fun without a net, and that's what I did. So yeah.
We do have an audience question for Kirsten. It says, what does the ocean sound like under the ice? And is it different from warmer dives?
Yeah. So I have dove in the Arctic and the Antarctic. And no matter where I dive, the dominant sound is the regulator, the breathing, the Darth Vader effect is what I call it lovingly. And the thing that's most unique about Antarctica is the ever-present sound of Weddell seals, which you'll actually hear when you tune into the exhibition after this. I included a video, and if you listen closely, you'll hear a vocalization of a Weddell seal. It sounds like something from outer space. That's the only way I can describe it. So other than my own breathing, I hear that. And that is really what makes Antarctica unique, because even if I don't see a seal, I do hear them. It's just eerily beautiful. And in warmer waters, it's hard to say. There's a clicking sound made by a shrimp but I can't really say that I hear that all the time. And it's difficult. I've always wanted to go on a rebreather. I'm not certified to do rebreathers, but I've always been interested to know what I would hear under the sea without the sound of my bubbles. So it's a good question.
Dot, I think you mentioned that you also dive. Is that correct?
Nowhere on the level that she does. But yeah, I've been under the water, and actually that bubble sound is kind of cool. I really like that bubble sound. But yeah, and it's so funny you said that clicking sound, because I didn't know what that clicking sound was, but now I do. I hear that like clicking noise. That's really strange. You reminded me of something else. I was on a fishing trip, and it was really rough. Most people got kind of sick on the boat the night before, and then when we were done, of course, the weather was perfect. If you're ever going out on the ocean, I'll give you some advice. There's the way the waves move, right? The way the waves go up and down. And if you get seasick, I understand. But if it's windy, you do not want to go, because it's a much rougher ride when it's windy. It's actually not so bad if there's no wind. But one day we were coming back, and the ocean laid out like a piece of glass. What's so amazing to me is that you know, like Kirsten, you're under the water, and we are mostly normally used to being on top of the water, right? But you don't see that whirl that's happening like underneath you, right? And how alive it is. So we were coming across the bay from San Clemente Island back to Los Angeles, and the ocean was literally like a lake. There was almost no movement at all. It was completely flat. And in the bow wake of the boat, dolphins and porpoises were coming from as far away as you can see. It was like they were racing to the boat to ride in the bow wake. And it kind of blew my mind, because you could see them kicking from a far away to try to catch up to the boat, and then they were rolling inside the bow wake. And I thought to myself, what a bizarre behavior, like this playful moment that they would work so hard to swim that far. And I'm talking far away, you could see them coming. And we were laying on the boat deck, and you're kind of looking right down, and they would roll up and look at you. And it was a pretty profound moment when you think about a steward, being a steward of the ocean and helping them live their life as well.
Well, talking about waves, we have another audience question, and it said for everybody, also Van and Una, and it said, does the cadence of the waves change the way you view your art?
I mean, I can take this one. I find my pieces tend to be very rhythmic when I'm building them, because I'm sort of doing these repetitive motions. So sometimes it helps to have a soundtrack, and sometimes that is something really simple. Sometimes it's people talking, and I find that really frees my mind to focus on my hands. But listening to music and listening to sounds of the ocean was something that I did on this project, which I hadn't done before. And in my final piece, there's a video, and that video has, at the beginning of the song, there's a lot of ocean sounds. So I was listening to that repetitively as the video was being edited. And that really it almost puts you in a meditative state, I think. And I find that often when I'm working, that it's sort of like I leave a little bit. There are things around me, but I'm not there. I've like moved on with the with the rhythm of whatever I'm doing.
And I agree with Una. I mean, listening to sounds of the ocean, that was a big part of me being able to just really focus on the line work, really making sure I was intentional about my concept, but also allowing the ode to breathe, making sure that it had enough, so it's kind of airy, like an airy feel. But historically, when I've written poetry, I like to sit near the water, and I've been very fortunate that I've been around raging bodies of water, which dictate the way that my pen flows, whereas calmer seas will also dictate that as well, or they've dictated that as well. But yeah, just like Una, I listen to the sounds of the ocean. I listen to a lot of world music when I was writing this, just to have the whole international appeal. And yeah, I think it really shaped my words.
Yeah, in my work, I specifically was thinking about the cadence of a wave. When you see the final pieces later on, when you can access the site, you'll see the final works. I actually was thinking about that when I used the ink to actually make the currents go across. In my mind, they were angry at the time that I was doing that type of cadence. My work was kind of an angry ocean like speaking back, basically. But yeah, I was thinking about the cadence of a wave.
Kirsten, do you feel like that was similar to your work, or just maybe not so since you're under?
The waves are really important to me. The sound of the waves are really important to me meditatively. I didn't realize that until I had lived in Germany for 4 years, moved to Hawaii, sat on the beach the first day and was like, holy cow, that's what I've missed about ocean as a place, is the sound of the waves. But for my work, no, I actually listen to underwater sounds, like the breathing and the bubbles and whale songs and stuff like that.
That's still, I would still count it. Well, guys, thank you so much. Does anybody have some last minute comments before we move on to their next part of our open studio? Okay. At this point, we want to kind of talk to you a little bit about the exhibition, the virtual exhibition that showcases the work that our 4 wonderful artists worked on. Blood, sweat, and tears went into this. They all challenged themselves to do something different in their practice for this project, and I'm very thankful for that. They all decided to have a particular approach that was a little bit different than they normally would. And that makes me really happy, because that means that they allowed themselves to just be explored and, you know, in this space and be inspired by each other and the process. And so the exhibition is live on the Moku Art Studio website. I will post a link in a minute on the chat, so you guys can go see it directly after that. I would like at this point to screen share so that I can kind of show you how to get there while I tell you a little bit about the idea of this exhibition for the residency. So this is right now just the program. There's 2 ways of getting to it. You can get through the Oceans program to see the exhibition and read a little bit about what the goal is for us for this particular project. If not, you can just go straight to the tab. And then we, this residency was over 5 weeks, and we met to discuss concepts, ideas, resources, knowledge, foster and support the mutual enrichment. I always like to include a why of a map. We at Moku and with Mongo, we really believe that this is an international effort, and there's a lot of artists internationally that are really passionate about ocean conservation, education, sustainability. And so we feel that having this idea of the ocean kind of lets you know that even though we're very far away and far apart from each other in the world, this is a vehicle to where we can actually share each other. You can read a little bit more about the artist, and we did link to their particular website so that you can go and check out their work. I do recommend you guys to see the map on a desktop. This is a little smaller map, but if you click this little square right here, it will take you to the full map. And at this point, each little tab is an artist, where they talk a little bit about their artist statement for their project or reflection. And if you click through this part, you will see the images that the artists see. Let me see.
Right, same thing in Spanish.
Yes.
Ok. Entonces, bueno, recién Frida nos compartió cómo navegar la exposición virtual, cómo compartimos el link, bueno, y finalmente el mapa que está ahí, ya que creemos que este programa y estos proyectos, más allá bueno, de que son unipersonales en este caso, se pueden interconectar y se puede dimensionar mucho mejor a través de un mapa, ver que en distintos puntos del mundo, bueno, estos artistas están tratando estas temáticas, en este caso de los océanos profundos, sustentabilidad también, y bueno, ahí Frida nos mostró cómo navegarlo. Ella sugiere que lo vean en una pantalla de computadora, porque es mucho más fácil poder navegar el mapa. Y bueno, no sé si quieres que comparta el mapa como para tener una breve introducción aquí, Frida, o compartimos el link, como prefieras.
So I just realized that the map, I had a
Okay.
different tab. I don't want to spoil the surprise, so I want you guys to go and actually share. But if you click on each pin, it opens a little side panel that tells you the title and medium of the art. The artist, all different artists have a little statement or reflection made out of based on their project. And if you click on the image to the left, it will make the image bigger, and you will see all the other works, including some of the videos that the artist created for this exhibition. I'll just let it load a little bit and see if it works. Yeah, so you'll be able to actually see the full size of the art, but I won't show you too much because I want you to actually experience it on your own. But it's just good to, let people know how technology works. We are very excited for this project. We really want to thank our wonderful artists for taking a chance with this program. This is our first collaborative virtual oceans residency. We hope that we are able to have many, many more, and we will keep adding artists to our map to create a network of friends and artists that share this love in common, we have a community where we can all gather, where they can show their work, and where you as an audience can actually see really cool art, because that's what we're here for, the art in the ocean. Betty.
Bueno, les dejamos el link en el chat, Frida. Ok, entonces Frida va a dejar el link en el chat. Recién les mostró cómo navegar el mapa, y queremos agradecerles a todos por estar aquí, a los artistas también por haber confiado en este programa, en este proyecto, y bueno, haber participado y entregado semana a semana todo lo que tiene que ver con, bueno, como han dicho, también han generado una amistad, una comunidad de artistas que están muy comprometidos con el océano, preocupados también con vivir aquí de una manera más saludable, digamos, en el sentido de ser más conscientes qué futuro queremos. Y bueno, Frida les deja el link para que puedan entrar a la exposición virtual y puedan navegarla y ver ahí. Ella nos mostró un poquito, pero quiere que realmente entren al link a navegar la exposición y no hacerlo tan evidente, digamos, mostrándolo aquí. Ya han tenido suficiente y han podido conocer a los artistas, que realmente son muy transparentes, muy inspiradores, y al menos a mí, más allá del compromiso y la preocupación que tengo a nivel personal, me han transmitido y concientizado sobre qué hacer la próxima vez que me pongo mis patitas en el agua, o bueno, o estoy ahí caminando por el mar. O en la orilla del mar, perdón. Muchas gracias, Frida.
Thank you so much for everybody, our artists, our audience, for joining us in our open studio and exhibition. I will push you forward to go and check out the amazing work that our artists created. They worked so, so hard. Please go check out their work, check out their artist websites, go show them some love, because they really, really deserved it. And I hope, and we all hope, that you really enjoy it and love it, and we hope to see you guys next time. If you have questions for our artists or for ourselves, feel free to contact us. We really want this to be a collaborative event and effort, and thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Muchas gracias por estar aquí. A la audiencia los invita, Frida, que por favor se metan en la página con el trabajo que han realizado estos artistas, realmente muy profundo, muy interesante. Y si tienen dudas o preguntas que les surgen después de este encuentro, no duden en escribirnos y contactarnos, y se los hacemos llegar a los artistas o mismo para nosotros. Muchísimas gracias por estar aquí. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day, night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, artists, for being here, for your commitment with us and with the project and everything. Thank you so much.